Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick. I'm Kirk Henderson, joined by Josh Bowe. It's been a little while since you guys talked to me, but the Mavericks beat the Magic tonight. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, and in a sign of what's been going on with this Maverick season, you might notice I sound a little off. Well, my normal desktop microphone that I use to record, the cable shorted, and it not only shorted out. I don't know if the mic might still work, but the cable not only went kaput, but it also like fried out some of my USB ports on my desktop, which caused me to do about 3 or 4 restarts to get my USB ports working back on my desktop. So now I am recording through my wireless the headset that I normally use actually to record, but just for audio. I'm using the microphone on it, and I'm sure I sound like I'm being strung through a sewer or something right now, but that's the kind of season it is.
It is.
Add another injury to the Mavericks injury report. My microphone.
Swisher Sweet in the chat asks if we wait till DLLS wraps up, and I'll just put it to you like this: I would argue that every single podcasting group that does Maverick stuff immediately after games is to the point now to where you're structuring how you do this to just get in and get out. Josh and I were ready to go a half hour ago. Like we were ready to go at 8:30 and the game was still on, but the technical difficulties happened and now we're here. Second half of the show, I'll talk a little bit about, why I was gone. But for the first half, the game started at 6 p.m., like 6:05.
Yeah,
which
Coast,
was
baby.
Truly one of the more off-putting experiences I've had in a while, just because it's like the light out was still playing. So, and Anthony Davis played today, and we're playing a Magic team that is bizarre. They're down Jalen Suggs and one of the Morris brothers, but the Mavericks are also hurt. Not Morris brothers, one of the Wagner brothers. But the Mavericks are obviously super hurt as well. Caleb Martin played tonight too. That was interesting. And you're just kind of looking at this game. It's an early game. It's the end of it's part of like a long East swing. And you're just sort of wondering what juice the Mavericks have left. They had won 2 of their previous 3. They got smacked by the Knicks, which was kind of expected given it was the second night of a back-to-back, even though the Knicks are not in a great health space themselves. So I didn't really know what to expect from this game. And the first minute or the first quarter was everything I could imagine from a high school basketball game. Like it was horrible. I don't even know how to properly talk about it. I think at one point the teams were a combined 2 of 16 from the floor.
It was not that good. It was not good, but I knew what to expect. You said the Magic are a bizarre team. That's not the B word I would use. They are a bad team. Bad team. The Magic stink. I'm sorry if there's any Orlando fans that are watching, but that team is hot sewer trash. I don't ever want to watch them on my TV again. I cannot wait for them to get relegated to the NBA TV 5:30 start times on weeknights when they go into their inevitable playoff matchup. Actually, I mean, are they going to be in the play? They might be in the play-in. So I hope that
because the Eastern Conference needs to fall into the C.
So then they won't even get that. I hope they get swiftly executed in the play-in, so we don't have to see them in the proper playoffs. Because this is an abhorrent basketball team. And when I did the Knicks podcast, Kirk, I was the last thing I did when I wrapped up was I was looking at the next 4 games, and I said I actually think the Mavericks are going to go 3-1, and the loss is it was Orlando, Chicago, Brooklyn, Atlanta, and I said they're going to go 3-1, and the loss is going to be Chicago.
Yeah.
Because Chicago's playing really well right now. And I had someone, not being rude, someone just genuinely being like, why don't you think they're going to lose to Orlando? And it's because they can't score. Think of the worst offense you've ever seen in the NBA. The Magic are worse than it.
I mean, I have questions about why Jonathan Isaac doesn't play, but the Mavericks, with where the Mavericks salary, the roster is for next year, the Mavericks should look at the Magic and try to avoid that because the Magic have some pretty good basketball players.
They do.
They don't have guards that are functional. And that just became apparent. Like their
They've got one
offense was Paolo Banchero bowling to the rim.
Yep, that's about it. They shot 5 of 30 from 3. That's 16.7%. I think they entered tonight shooting around 31%, and I think that will go as the worst team 3-point shooting performance for a season since like 2013 or 2014. And obviously, Suggs hurt. It's big because they were already short on guards. And then Caldwell Pope has been a disaster for them. He's been so bad for them.
He's just not that kind of guard. He is a catch and shoot guy. He is a defensive guy, but it's a creator. No, like it was watching them play actually got increasingly more frustrating just from like an eyes point of view, because every shot they took, every drive they made, like the Mavericks are not a great defensive team. And the Mavericks always seem, and granted, they're playing really hard. I don't want to insult the Mavericks, but it's kind of the nature of the fact. Whenever Franz Wagner would like drive, he was met by like 3 dudes because the Mavericks didn't care.
Yeah,
it's if he passes out, nobody cares Anthony Black shooting a 3.
Their front court is Wendell Carter, Wagner, and Banchero. Like, and then they start 2 guards that are not shooting 3s very well. Like, what? And then Black, who we both love Black, and
I like him, but this is the wrong.
He's not ready
team.
yet. Yes, this is the wrong team.
He needs to be on a team where he could be like a disruptor.
He needs to be on the Warriors next to Steph. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, I mean that's actually that's the kind of. Or he'd be
or on the Mavs next to Kyrie.
Or like he'd be like a really fun Pacers guard since they don't play any fucking defense.
next to Halliburton.
Did you see how many points they scored tonight?
Yeah, they scored what 3 times more than the Magic did tonight. Like
162 points is a lot. Anyway, so this is just kind of one of these games where it's like the more you watch it, the worse it gets. And there was a couple of instances, and credit where credit is due. If Jaden Hardy doesn't have an out-of-body experience for about 5 possessions, the Mavericks probably lose this game. Like that's the other shocking element of this, because the Mavericks were really not very good either. It's just they were less terrible than the Magic. Yes.
Yeah, Hardy made 5. The Mavericks made 11 threes, which is not a lot, but they didn't take a lot. And Hardy made 5 of them. So if Hardy doesn't have a good 3-point shooting night, I mean, yeah, it's probably the Magic win 92-89 or something.
Well, it was an interesting game for the Mavericks. We're bashing the Magic, and I'm not even really talking about the Mavericks. Kai Jones nearly died like 6 minutes into the game with an incredible block, and then I couldn't tell if he hit the underside of the backboard, which is what flipped him. He basically ran the floor, got a lob, and then crashed to the floor. And I think it was our friend Austin who said he looked like an anime character going down and then getting back up. Like it was a really kind of upsetting fall where he popped back up, but he popped back up in a way where it's like, oh, that's a guy that is like running on pure adrenaline. And he ended up walking off the floor. We hope he's okay. Hip contusion. Just, Kai Jones, I don't want to act like Mark Followell and act like he's been a revelation, but he plays hard and is fun. And at this point, I just can't ask for more. So I hope he's okay. Yeah. But after that, that kind of took the wind out of like what the Mavericks were doing. Klay Thompson had a pretty okay game in his 26 minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie ended up sort of helping seal things later in the game, but he was fried chicken in the second quarter of this game. Like that was when the Magic really took advantage of Dallas, was Spencer Dinwiddie minutes. What did you think about we're obviously going to talk about Anthony Davis, but was there anybody else from the starters that you think is worth commenting on beyond Kai Jones and maybe Anthony Davis?
Yeah, if we're not talking about Davis yet, the starters were actually kind of crappy. It was the bench that won the game. Najee Marshall had a come back down to earth performance, 6 points, 3 turnovers after he had that explosive New York game. But he played within, he wasn't forcing shots. He only had 5. This is not going to be the team where he's going to get a lot of attempts against a team as big as the Magic that can guard the paint. So he's just not going to get his floaters like he can against some other teams.
That's right.
But he didn't force it, and he had 3 assists. He had 2 steals. He guarded okay. And yeah, Thompson made some 3s late, which were huge. But yeah, the starters aren't the reason why the Mavericks won this game. You look at the bench.
Well, let's dunk on Anthony Davis for a moment, and
Okay,
then
we
we can
gotta
talk
get
to
to
the
Davis
bench.
because that's the interesting part of the game.
So Davis played 29 minutes, and Mark Followell said something is going to play like 24 to 29 minutes. Kid blows past minutes restrictions like it's his job. It's my favorite thing because Kid is the one who tells us about the minutes restriction, and then he meets it. Anthony Davis started off the game with a drive to the rim where he blew the and one and then missed both free throws. And then after that, he essentially stopped playing hard on offense, at least. He was 5 and 19 from the floor. He took 5 3-pointers, only hit 1. So if you do the math there, he is 4 of 14 from 2-point range. And let me tell you, it felt like he was 4 of 2 or 4 of 14 from 2-point range. What did you think?
I mean, he was terrible, and that's why. And it's I mean, I'm not going to kill. Like, he's hurt. He's still very clearly hurt. He had a drive in the first half where he missed the rim entirely on a drive that went off the backboard, and you can see when the Mavericks showed the replay of it, he's holding his abdomen and wincing. Like,
Yep.
You've talked about it, Kirk. This is not an injury that, like, he might not be able to, like, severely hurt it more. But he's not. It doesn't go away till you get surgery, right? That's what happened to Damian Lillard for the most part.
That's what the Portland guys who covered Dame Lillard, who and let's just be candid here, Dame is a much tougher player than Anthony Davis. I'm just gonna. It's okay. I don't mean to be disrespectful to Anthony Davis. I respect his skill level. Anthony Davis is not a guy who plays well when he doesn't feel right. That is an okay thing to say. I don't want to kill the guy, but it's painful watching him play right now. We've had 2 games and he's not moving right. And I don't understand how more games is going to improve his movement.
Yeah, the Nets thing, like,
he was ass against the Nets. It just didn't matter.
Anyone trying to take anything realistically away from that Nets game, like, that is a disservice to talking about basketball. Like, not trying to be rude or to anyone that was talking, because we have to talk about the games. But when I talked, like, he was moving at half speed. He was jogging from 3-point line to 3-point line. He didn't play center the entire game, so he was guarding a power forward. He was standing in the corner guarding a wing for most of the game. And yeah, he finished with like 12 points on 6 of 9 shooting when, like, he got free a couple times, and, like, the Nets doubled him every single time he touched the ball. And I was like screaming at my TV, like, let him try to beat you because he can't move. So, like, that was like that was a scrimmage. That Nets game was a glorified scrimmage,
right?
Which is not bad. Like, he hasn't played in a month and he suffered a serious injury. Like, that's not a bad thing. But anyone trying to be like, well, look at Dave, like, Davis is back, and look at, like, no, like, that was just, can he get through the game without having to exit with injury? That was all you were trying to check that box. Everything else didn't really count because it wasn't a real game. Like, the Nets are awful, their roster's awful, and Davis was clearly just trying to get through that game without getting hurt more. And this was going to be the game because the Magic, while they have a god awful offense, their defense is good. They've got 3 good front court players. They're big. And they didn't double Davis, and they were like, "All right, come get us." And Kirk, do you want to guess how many attempts in the restricted area he had, and how many attempts from mid range he had, or do you think which one was higher?
The mid range significantly. Yeah. Like, I would say if he took 19 shots, you back out the 3-pointers. I think he took 10 or so mid range shots.
He got close. He had 6 true mid-range.
Okay.
They had 4 in the paint outside the restricted area.
But
those 4 in the paint outside the restricted area are close to the line. Like, they're not.
That's where he is going.
They were all jumpers. Everything was jumpers for the most part.
If he's going to make a difference for the Mavericks, and this is just sort of my opinion on superstar scoring, those shots in that close the close restricted area to be almost being are where your money is made. And he just didn't hit shots tonight. There are going to be games where he looks incredible. He didn't have it tonight. So I'm trying not to be too difficult on him. And CD 83 in the chat says AD is playing because AD wants to play. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of wondering what the end game is, because it's not like you're going to his level of discomfort Like he had 3 days off. Like he played Monday, he didn't play Tuesday, Wednesday, all Thursday, and he still looked that way. So I don't
The end
know.
game,
It's just sort of where I'm settling. I mean, he played hard. He wasn't ineffective. I don't know. Maybe
he was ineffective.
I'm not sure. I mean,
But
defensively,
it's not
he's
his
like
fault. He's hurt. He's hurt.
There's a reputational presence that exists with him. 7 rebounds, 29 minutes. I'm not, I don't know. Life goes on.
The end game is, it's a two-parter where he's seeing his team hurt and he wants to help his team, which is admirable. But the other part of it is clearly like a reputation thing. Like he got traded for Luka in what everyone's calling like the worst trade ever. He is a Hall of Fame. He will probably be a Hall of Famer. He probably takes that personal a little bit. Like everyone is killing this trade. Like you don't think he has enough pride to be like, wait a minute, I'm not chopped liver. Like he clearly wants to get back out there and try to combat that reputation that he has in terms of his injury history, and then the fact that he doesn't want to be seen as the butt end of this Luka trade in the scheme, grand scheme of history. Like that matters to guys, and it's admirable. Like I said, like it sounds like he's the only one that wants to play from the reporting. It sounds like pretty much everyone else is trying to convince him not to play.
Yeah.
So, good for him for trying, because we're in the era where guys, if they don't have to play, they will not play. So, I commend him for that, but I don't know. I don't know enough about the injury and about the science of it to know if it's going to get better before a potential surgery. So we'll just have to keep watching.
All right, I'm going to insert some ads here, and then Josh and I'll come right back. We'll talk a little bit more, and then we will let you get on with your day. We will be right back. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. So just to be quite honest with you guys, we are actually switching podcast networks. We are joining another one for our next show. I'm hopeful that we will have everything set up to where we will be able to broadcast for the Chicago game, to where we'll be able to record and post to a stream. We will record on YouTube regardless. So if something doesn't pop up and you're listening on the audio feed, guys, and you actually want to hear about the Chicago game, Josh and I will be talking about it on YouTube for sure. I'm pretty sure everything's going to get set up correctly. Most of this stuff is pretty seamless, but it's also a Friday tomorrow, and Josh and I's contract, if everybody remembers way back when, we were kind of homeless for a period of months as SB Nation jettisoned us in the middle of the basketball season, which was really fun several years ago. So now we're going to work on that. Guys, if you're listening to the show, this is kind of the true sicko mode. If you're watching and listening and you haven't subscribed to us yet, please consider doing so. Likes, comments, all those sort of things. Everything's helpful. We haven't got a lot of people in here tonight, and that's okay. Like Josh and I, like this is the time of year where, not the time of year, but kind of the time in the process where there's like soul searching going on, where it's like, do we really want to do this? And the answer is we're going to keep doing it for as long as it's fun. I think we like talking to each other, and I think we like talking basketball enough. We just got to have something fun to talk about. I think the real challenging point in the basketball right now is that the Mavericks don't have the centerpiece. And when we started doing this in earnest, was the end of the Dennis Smith rookie experience. I think I really started joining you more regularly right around then, because you actually started this. You got bullied by our friend John into doing this.
Yeah. I think the last season before they drafted Luka is, I think, when we started.
And we weren't doing games. We were doing like
we were doing like
once a week,
once or twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was you. And then we kind of ended up here. And so, what's going to make this difficult is the Mavericks have no center. And I don't mean that in the fact that they don't have a position. It's just they don't have, like, one of the asinine things about Rick Welts, all the comments coming on from everywhere, there's a reference to culture. There's a reference to identity fairly frequently. The Mavericks don't have those things. They traded away those things, and that's okay. Actually, it's not. It sucks. But it's where we are. And so as we're talking about this team moving forward, they have to find, like, the next thing that matters is finding the next franchise player to build around. It's not Anthony Davis. It's not Kyrie Irving. So that's what's next. Now, They might put that off for several years because Nico Harrison is a fucking idiot. Like that just might be where we end up. But that's what, to me, that's what the end point is for what's next for this franchise. And Josh and I will find ways to talk about the games. We'll find ways to talk about the team. I know people get sick and tired of me being negative when I was negative, and I do too. I don't like being that way all the time either. There is gonna be things we can talk about. It's just it's hard to figure out how to build a house if you don't have a foundation.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, don't be negative, but also when everything that's happening is negative, what what are you supposed to talk about?
Well, it was good I wasn't on the other night. That Rick Welch thing made me so angry.
No, I know it did. If you want to get your piece in now,
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
The short story there is quit doing cowardly things where you have important Mavericks figures come on the road broadcast because you're afraid to walk them out in front of the fans.
I don't know. And he's not even part of the basketball stuff.
No, and Followell did a good job actually asking him some kind of tough questions.
Yeah, no, I was actually shocked that question got asked. That was surprising.
I respect,
that was
somebody asked me something where it's like I'm actively trying hard not to be a douche canoe to like Mavericks employees because they're employees and they love the team too, and working there has got to be fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure.
Well, I don't know. Anything else?
I'm trying to. I mean,
are we gonna start watching Andor?
We are. I promise. Well, I mean, I've said that a million times, so I don't know.
I keep telling Josh, is like, we need to do an Andor episode by episode, just like 5 minutes on it after every game, because that's about how many seasons, how many are left. Well, right. I can end on something.
Well,
we'll go.
Well, how about this? What do you think's going to happen first? The Magic hit. What's going to happen? Yeah, what will happen next? Quickest. The Magic hit 23 pointers in a game, or I watch a season one of.
You're gonna watch season 1 of Andor.
Okay. Wow, that's confident.
Because
that's good for you. No, I know. I'll like it. I know.
You appreciate craft.
I do. I know.
You are like that's one of the fun things. We have somehow I have accidentally hired 5 people on Mavs Moneyball who really like film and really like the art of making visual storytelling. Yes. It's really shout out to Logan, who isn't with us anymore. He was probably the most psychotic of all of you guys. But I think because I hate it. By the end of it, I actually enjoyed the second season of Severance just because it was so silly. But the when I was reading about the different stuff involved, it made me feel like I was back in my gifted and talented English classes where it's you're learning about thematic stuff. And I felt I liked it, but I didn't have to do a book report on it, so it kind of made the whole thing better. And that's what I think you'll like with the Tony Gilroy of it all, where it's he made a 12-episode series, which is really 4 short movies. So,
yep, I know. I will try to get to it.
To end, I want to I just want to thank everybody that reached out to me about my dad. It's been a weird. So I found out about the diagnosis on the same day as the Luka trade.
Yeah.
So it was for anybody who wonders why we stayed up together till 4 a.m, the night of the Luka trade, I really didn't want to be alone. I really didn't want to just be alone in the middle of the night with my thoughts, because it was so many things at once. And the flip side, of that is with kind of all the grief and the processing and the planning, is I did get to spend a lot of time with my dad. I was in Kansas City for a significant portion of the last 6 weeks, and so that was pretty cool. I don't know, lots of nice people reaching out and saying stuff, and it we laughed because Mark Cuban actually sent me condolences, and the asshole basketball fan in me was I'd never want to hear from this man again. But then the human being in me was God damn it, he just did something nice. Shit, I have to be cordial. Nice. Yeah. So I don't know. It's It's weird.
It's
weird.
tough because you're very upfront. This what we're doing right now. This is like you throw yourself into this, particularly to get away from real life when real life sucks, and that's why the Luka trade because like it's like okay, well, real life sucks. I'm gonna dive into this. Well, this sucks now. I think that's if anyone was wondering why it it's not hard to put two and two together here. Like it was really it was really tough and you soldiering through it was I can't believe you did as many. Well, I can believe you did as many episodes as you did.
Well, it was nice, and I think in hindsight, if anybody's like watching, and why would you watch old Mavericks podcasts? Like there's an element of it where it doing this stuff allowed me to compartmentalize because like I was about ready to kill my brother, who was with me the whole time. He's several years older, where we were essentially going from hospice to our hotel room. And I told him at the end, I was like, when we come back up here to help my mother with some other stuff that we have to do, we're going to go do something fun. Like I can't and so it is like coming to watch the Mavericks games, as painful as some of these basketball games are right now. It's still kind of fun. Like it is kind of fun. Like it's like being, it's sort of maybe it feels like playing the, instruments on the deck of the Titanic. But I'm like, David and I are watching these games on playback, and it's just some of the shit that happens is so funny. Like when Jaden Hardy died and turned over the ball and then committed the turnover, was that the Pacers game?
Yeah, the one, the bad one, the bad ending one where they. That's right. Yeah,
CD Phillips or CD83 in the chat says, the Mavs games are still an escape, and it's like even the garbage basketball absolutely is a mistake, and it's like really, it's kind of why I like to play because it's watching this stuff together with somebody is so funny. And other people. And, I know a lot of Mavs fans have kind of turned the Mavericks off right now because, like, you watch games by yourself, and if they're horrible and they traded Luka, like, why do you want to do it? I don't know. I found an element of like solace in all this. My dad was not a basketball guy. He was actually a high school All-American football player, and so he just never really he watched basketball, but I don't think he got it yet. He did, like, when they traded Luka, he was like, why the fuck did they do this? He's like, Dad, it's kind of, I don't have a good answer.
We all got that text from our dads. Oh. I did.
Anyway. Yeah. Well, and this was like one of the more embarrassing, stories. So I had to go to a pain management doctor with my dad just because don't recommend pancreatic cancer, folks. Really don't recommend any cancer. Pancreatic cancer, particularly painful. But the doctor, after we got done talking, we're in the hallway and we're leaving, and he saw my thing, and my parents had apparently told him I did this. And he was like, I work here. My days are all really kind of, I'm talking to sad people. Do you have can I ask you some questions about this? I talked to the pain management doctor and tried to explain the Mavs game or the Mavs trade to him. So that was funny.
Yeah, anyway. This trade is. You mentioned it, Vanity Fair's writing about it has. Everyone knows this will be a question on Jeopardy. It's beyond our sphere. What's the way I think of it is because I know you like video games too, and I'm really into video games. It reminds me of when something really bad happens in the video game industry and there's a story on CNN about it. Mm-hmm. It's oh no, it's broken outside of containment of the little cottage industry that I follow. When Cyberpunk came out and was so bad they had to remove it from the stores from they were selling it. And right. CNN's writing a story because the video game industry is as huge as it is, it still feels like when I'm following news on it, it still feels
that's right.
Kind of indie rock scene. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing a story on CNN about a game being so broken that they're taking it off store shelves. That's kind of what the Luka trade has felt like. Yeah. That's how I would compare it.
Well, we'll talk about it more. We got we somehow have 3 weeks left of basketball. I don't understand how, but we'll be back Saturday. And then, or at least one of us will. I don't know. We start with a new company tomorrow, so we actually need to get our shit together and record some decent shows. So maybe Saturday night I will have a live stream where you guys can join again. I know I always talk. They're one of my favorite things that we do. It just they require a level of mental and emotional energy I simply haven't had the past few weeks. So we'll get it back and we'll talk about it. And thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, guys. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. Shout out to my man Salam, who shot us quite a nice tip. That's very, very friendly. That super chat is very appreciated. We'll be back a little later in the week, Saturday. So everybody have a good Friday, and we will talk soon. Go Mavs.